Good afternoon. You're watching Business World Live. I'm Jess De Los Santos. Let's take a look at how the local bourse closed today, Thursday. Okay, shares rebound after that knee-jerk reaction over the detection of two Omicron cases in the Philippines. As you can see in this chart right here, the index ended the day up by 1.4% to 7,233. Now, earlier in the program, we had Rastin Mercado of China Bank Securities. He says markets already priced in Omicron even before its detection here in the Philippines. Primarily investors thinking it's really just a matter of when the virus will be entering the country's shores. They're still bullish for 2022, especially with uncertainties waning. According to Rastin, the hope is that there won't be a steep downside as what was experienced during the Delta surge here in the country. Bounce back strong, really, for majority of blue chips in the main index, particularly for our two telco giants, PLDT and Globe. It's also the same scenario for the third telco player, Dito Telecommunity. That's after the Senate passed on third and final reading the bill, which shall open the sector and other public services sectors to bigger foreign ownership. The bill is set to affect other industries such as air carriers, shipping, rail, and irrigation as well. Now, Carlos Temporal of AP Security says that this is going to boost the interest of foreign funds and investors in these sectors and bolster positive market sentiment for listed firms. And true enough, looking at how these three stocks performed today, you have PLDT ending the day higher by 5% to 1,810 is represented in this upper chart right here. In the middle chart, you have Dito Telecommunity rising 4.5%. Globe is also the day's best performer, increasing by 8.9% to 3,600 pesos a piece. Now, meanwhile, broadband operator Converge also surged in today's trade. That's after it approved a plan to seek shelf registration of as much as 20 billion pesos worth of bonds to be issued within 3 years. Initial batch will be for up to 10 billion pesos. Bonds will be listed on the local bond exchange, Philippine Dealing and Exchange. As you can see right here, Converge up 0.5% to 30 pesos and 90 centavos a share. Lastly, let's go to the REIT space here with MREIT. That's after its asset value got a 19% boost. MREIT has given the go signal for the acquisition of four prime grade A buildings located in pesos zones. That's for a total of 9.1 billion pesos. That pushes MREIT's property value to 58.8 billion pesos. Despite that news, though, MREIT ended the session down by 0.1% to 18 pesos and 32 centavos a piece. Meanwhile, the Banco Central has kept benchmark rates unchanged at record lows in its last meeting for the year. The Monetary Board retained the overnight reverse repurchase rate at 2%. This move has been predicted by all 20 economists surveyed by Bloomberg. The decision also comes as the government seeks to fortify economic recovery that's already picking up pace. The government has raised this year's economic growth outlook and said it expects expansion to quicken next year as mobility improves and new coronavirus infections slow. While data about Omicron remains limited, researchers have found that existing vaccines have lost some of their protection when faced with this new COVID-19 variant. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro has the rest of the story.
Omicron's increased infectiousness has everyone on the edge. The Octa Research Group and business groups are asking the government to advance the interval for booster shots from the original 6 months to only 4 months to head off a potential surge of Omicron cases.
Assuming we have the Omicron start spreading today, and by the end of January, it will be at less than 800 cases per day.
I think we should accelerate the boosting towards 4 months. No?
A study by the UK Health Security Agency, the first real-world study on Omicron, showed that by the 6th month, those who got the Pfizer vaccine only had 30% protection left versus mild and asymptomatic Omicron infection, but they still had 70% protection against severe illnesses. The study, however, showed that the efficacy of AstraZeneca drops flat by the 6th month.
So if you were vaccinated with 2 doses of AstraZeneca, your vaccine effectiveness is down to 0 after 5 to 6 months.
At the same time, the initial data from a study by the University of Hong Kong showed that Sinovac vaccinees failed to develop sufficient antibodies to fight the Omicron variant. The studies on AstraZeneca and Sinovac, however, are still in their early stage and only involve a small number of patients. Nevertheless, researchers say this drives home the importance of getting booster shots early. Father Nicanor Austriaco of the Octa Research Group said, "We don't have to wait for the vaccine immunity to wane before strengthening it."
We see that with regards to the lab test. So a Pfizer booster will restore antibody levels against Omicron. We see the same thing with Moderna.
As a medical frontliner during the pandemic, Aaron is always wary of bringing home the virus to his children. But getting a booster shot, Aaron says, allays a lot of those fears.
Maging happy yung vacation ko, maging masaya kasi nga kahit pa paano mapoprotektahan ko yung family ko at saka yung, most especially yung mga kids talaga.
But the health department wants more studies to be done before advancing the intervals for boosters to 4 months.
Advancing the booster from 6 months to 3 months, is something that is being looked into by our vaccine expert panel.
Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro, we are One News.
Now, over in the UK, COVID-19 infections have hit a record high. That's on the back of a surge in Omicron cases. More on this story, courtesy of Bloomberg Quick Take.
On Monday, Sajid Javid, the UK Health Secretary, said that there were now an estimated 200,000 Omicron cases every day. He also said there are only 4,713 confirmed cases. So why is there such a discrepancy? It's to do with the pace of spread of Omicron, the number of people getting tested, and the delay between getting infected and testing positive. The UK Health Security Agency, that's the body which does a lot of the COVID-19 modelling in this part of the world, estimates that the number of Omicron cases is doubling every 2 days. That means you can rapidly get to an eye-wateringly high number of infections. At the same time, not everybody who gets infected actually gets tested, perhaps only 50%. There's also a delay between an infection and getting a test result. I might be exposed to the virus on a Monday, show symptoms on a Wednesday, get tested on a Thursday, and not get my results until a Saturday. That means that the number of confirmed cases tells you where the virus was a few days ago rather than where it is right now. The government is, of course, bracing for the worst. That's one reason why vaccine passports have been introduced for some public venues just this week. And even though some people suspect that the Omicron strain may not be quite as virulent as Delta, the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, is warning against complacency. Other lawmakers outside of the UK clearly need to be paying attention to what's happening here with some urgency and be willing to react particularly quickly.
Here are other headlines we're keeping our eyes on. Typhoon Odette has intensified further as it made landfall over the Siargao Island in Surigao del Norte. As of 1:30 p.m., Odette was spotted in the vicinity of Siargao Island, packing maximum winds of 195 kilometers per hour and gusts of up to 240 kilometers per hour. It is moving west-northwestward at 30 kilometers per hour. Some areas are still under signal number 4. These are southern Leyte, Bohol, the southwestern portion of Leyte, southern portions of Cebu, Dinagat Islands, and Surigao del Norte, including Siargao and Bukas Grande Islands. Areas under signal number 3 are Negros Oriental, Siquijor, the rest of the southern portion of Leyte, as well as portions of Cebu, Negros Occidental, Antique, Agusan del Norte, and Surigao del Sur. Meanwhile, local governments in affected areas continue to evacuate their residents. One of them is Tandag City in Surigao del Sur, where around 3,500 families have already been brought to safer ground. Cebu City has also started conducting preemptive evacuations since last night. Pag-asa says Odette will continue moving west-northwestward and may make another landfall over Dinagat Islands this afternoon. Meanwhile, the Finance Department is confident that the economy's fourth quarter performance will be enough to help achieve the government's growth target for 2021. DOF Chief Economist Gil Beltran said the 7% fourth quarter growth needed to hit the revised 5 to 5.5% full-year GDP target is doable. Beltran explained that the target is still within range due to the further reopening of markets and the improvement of the volume of manufacturing in October. Finance Secretary Sonny Dominguez adds that the government will solidify recovery by reopening the economy to alert level 1 in January 2022. However, as it stands, 2 Omicron cases have been detected in the Philippines as of yesterday. The Senate unanimously approved on third and final reading the bill seeking the registration of SIM cards. The proposed SIM Card Registration Act seeks to eradicate criminal activities aided by cell phones, the internet, or other communication devices. Under the measure, telco firms will be mandated to require all active and existing subscribers to register their SIM cards within a year from the effectivity of the law. If subscribers fail to do so, telcos will be authorized to deactivate the SIM card number. To register, subscribers shall be required to present a valid ID and fill out a registration form issued by their service providers. The House of Representatives approved its version of the SIM Card Registration Act earlier this month. And here's another measure that has hurdled the Senate on third and final reading. 19 senators voted in favor of Senate Bill 2094, which seeks to amend the 85-year-old Public Service Act. This allows 100% foreign ownership in public services such as telcos, airlines, and domestic shipping. The bill, which had been certified as urgent by President Duterte, provides a clear delineation between public services and public utilities. Those falling under public utilities are bound by the constitutional cap on foreign equity. The definition of public utility has been revised to those involved in distribution and transmission of electricity, petroleum and petroleum transmission, water and wastewater pipeline distribution systems, airports and seaports, PUVs, and tollways. The Constitution puts a 40% limit on foreign ownership of public utilities. Those defined as public services are telcos, air carriers, subways and railways, canals and irrigation, and domestic shipping. Under the bill, foreigners can now fully own these services. 3 senators, Ralph Recto, Risa Ontiveros, and Kiko Pangilinan, voted against the passage of the bill. Citing national security concerns, Ontiveros said she was saddened that many critical services like telcos were opened up to 100% foreign equity. And those are the biggest stories this trading day, December 16, 2021. Catch Business World Live again tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. for the market open and 3:15 p.m. for the market close. I'm Jess De Los Santos. We are One News. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines.